What's up, everybody? It's Reggie Williams, founder and CEO of Ambrosia For Heads, and with me I have Jake Payne, our editor-in-chief. And together, this is our What's the Headline podcast. And today, we got some very special guests. I've been waiting for this one for a minute. This is a group that's been together for more than 30 years. You don't hear that often. It's very hard to do. This is one of the most important groups to ever emerge from the West Coast, and I'm saying excluding nobody. They created their own West Coast sound in the midst of the G-Funk revolution. And they didn't just do for selves. They put others on their back. Names like Xzibit, Madlib, Defari. These guys put the party in party rap. They literally made records that made you want to say, damn. If you don't know by now, I'm talking about J-Ro, E Swift, and Tash, the Alcoholics. What's up, fellas?
Oh man,
All
it's a
right,
pleasure.
man. Hey,
And
that
that
was
got to be
great.
the tightest introduction I've ever heard about it.
Oh,
Great,
So
man.
great.
I believe it.
well put together, man. Appreciate it,
Man,
man.
thank you, thank you. Yo, it's a pleasure to
Hey,
have you guys, man. Like I said, I've been a fan from day one, long time, and so to be in your presence is an honor for me, man. So, uh,
likewise, brother. Likewise.
Likewise.
Yeah,
yo,
this
so
is what
Jake and
makes
I
it
were talking
fun.
earlier. I used to be a lawyer in a past life, right? And one of the people, or two of the people I represented was Gangstar, Premier and Guru, and
Yeah.
it's funny because those two dudes aren't from New York, but they are like one and the same with the New York sound. You know what I mean? So I was thinking y'all are similar too. Y'all got a couple of y'all from Ohio, like Georgia, Ohio, right? And
Yeah.
but everyone thinks of y'all
Georgia.
distinctly West Coast. Like so how did that happen?
Man, it's crazy because like you said, like my hip hop roots started when I was living in Toledo, Ohio. And we used to listen to we used to get mixtapes and like copies of like the radio shows from out of New York, circa like around there. And then there was this DJ out of Detroit named man, what was his name? Damn, I can't remember his name right now. But he would start playing, like East Coast hip hop. That's all we had. You know what I'm saying? We didn't have Southern rap. We didn't have West Coast rap where I was at yet. So that's all. So everything I listened to was influenced by that. And then when I ended up moving to LA, that stuck with me. But then I was exposed to, West Coast hip hop, and I just kind of naturally merged them together. But I leaned more heavy toward the East Coast sound, mainly because of the drums, and the break beats and stuff like that. I
Yeah.
had a lot of records. My dad collected records. He was a DJ, and I would just spend hours, days upon days, just going through all the records he had and just be like, "Oh, this is hard. This is hard." This is before I
Mm,
even started making beats. So I was
mm,
just DJing, finding cool stuff to play. So I think that's kind of where it came on my end. Um, then I would have met Tash and J-Ro. The way they rap to me was more East Coast influence, if you could say,
mm.
like lyrical and just metaphors and their voice. You know what I'm saying? So the cadence, all that kind of came into play with me when I was like, oh, these guys got it. You know what I mean? But
Mm,
yeah,
mm.
that's kind of where it started with me
Yeah.
as far
And
as sound.
how did y'all meet? How did y'all like
Mutual
We
friend.
met, yeah, mutual friends. Like I'm raised in Pacoima, California, in Los Angeles County, born and raised, and I was influenced by everything. Of course, we heard Rappers Delight and
mm,
the Message and all that. And we had the first hip hop radio station, which was KDAY in the country. So we were exposed to it all. We heard all the West Coast stuff. We loved it, the electro funk, and then we heard all. My first concert was Slick Rick and Dougie Fresh,
Wow.
Uncle Jim Army concert. So we was kind of exposed to it all. And me personally, I connected with a guy named Scotty D, who introduced me to DJ Pooh, who was part of Uncle Jam's army. And then King T came around. He was a DJ at the time. He ended up being my DJ for myself and my god brother Suave D, rest in peace. We had a group called Total Control. So we all became a group. And just a little bit of West Coast history. It was a guy named DJ D who passed away just recently, man, from the Soundmasters crew in the Bronx. Soundmasters, you heard Just Ice going way back. He mentions them out of the projects, and he moved to Compton in high school, and he would go back and forth. But he started the Soundmasters Compton, which Coolio was a part of, even.
Wow.
And Scotty D and DJ D and Billy Boy and them. So he would come over to the shop that Scotty D owned, the Fila shops. They made sweatsuits, but he brought the original break beats, the breakbeat records, the
Ultimate breaks and beats.
ultimate breaks
Yeah.
and beats. Shout out to Breakbeat Lou. He brought those over soon as they came out. So we was like the first crew that had those in LA. So if you really go back to the sound of King T's first album, and also NWA and Eazy-E, because DJ Pooh and Dre was friends, and Pooh took those records to Dre. That's why you hear all those break beats on NWA's music, which was very heavily hip hop influenced. So me being a honorary member of Soundmaster Crew, it actually started our sound. It trickled down from there. So we actually connected to the very beginning roots of hip hop. You understand? So our sound was like, we just wanted to be hip hop. We weren't thinking about East Coast, West Coast, especially during that time. It wasn't really a thing. So we just wanted to be as original as possible, come with some different sounds, and we made a conscious effort not to really use more bounce to the ounce in the Parliament funk, which I would tell you is my favorite music. Tash, I think the same. We love funk, man. Swift, we love funk, but we were like, we gotta stay away from that and just create an original sound. So that's where it came from. Just a little backstory there.
That makes sense. Ohio's the funk capital of the world, right, Tash?
Exactly.
That's right.
Yes. And my story kind of same as Swift's and J-Ro's and everything. We was fans first, of the music. But like J-Ro said, a key part is that being from Ohio, we right by New York. So we used to get a lot of influence how we dressed. When I first met Swift, I had on some Gazelle. I was in LA. I had on some Gazelles and shit. And that B-boy era and all this and all that.
He came on my house with a big hat and said Rico, had some gazelles on. He looked like a rapper. You know what I'm saying? Before I even heard him rap, before I even heard him spit one rap,
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, he the B-boy. We on the same shit. You know
Two
what I mean?
B-boys. Yeah.
We was B-boys.
But like,
we was in the valley too, so that wasn't happening.
But my dad,
so we
met a called the Chandlers and everything. So I grew up around, musicians, and my uncles was in the group and shit. And
your godfather?
Oh yeah,
Godfather.
I was heavily influenced by Al Green's music at a young age because my mom, he's my guy. Really, is two members of the band that's my godfather. So I got two godfathers. I got Al Green and his bass player named Teeny. But they his kids, his son Norman. Congratulations. He's on Forbes magazine for doing like some financial business advice or something like that. But I grew up with him, so the music has always been in my soul, in my spirit. So when I met Swift, he was like the most talented. Because he was a DJ first, so I used to rap at his little parties and shit. He used to do big shit though, like USC and all this, and I used to say the same rap every party he had. So that's how I got put on. I kind of got put on by Swift, I guess. But
so basically, that was in 1988. I met Swift. Swift already knew Tash, and we just hooked up, man. Started hanging out,
and I'm gonna tell
demos.
Yeah, we was making demos, and see J-Ro's relationship with King T was a big part of my childhood because he was showing me he was showing me the Compton aspect, but then he was still like a hip hop rapper, kind of, So I used to be a fly on the wall watching him and J-Ro and Swift and DJ Pooh and Lil Ant. They used to be on Fridays, used to come through and all these people and shit. And I would just be kind of quiet back then, just watching the whole shit. Like I can't believe I'm in the room while King T doing the remix to Act the Fool and all this other shit.
I was the same way.
But shout out BJ Pooh, because without even talking, he used to teach me a lot of shit, from street shit to beat shit to all kind of stuff. But he went on to do the Fridays, and people sleep on his production sometimes. But I think DJ Pooh he's underrated.
Absolutely.
That's my real mentor. Like, he showed me everything, how to, from start to scratch, what to do in the studio. Like, I could make beats and mess around at the house, but when I got into the studio, he showed. I mean, I didn't know what MIDI was, SMPTE, how to use this machine. Like, he let me borrow his SP1200 that he had got, that actually ended up being with Dr. Dre's
Wow.
SP1200. And I took it home, and I never gave it back to this day. Like, they still joke around, like, when you gonna give me that SP back? You know what I mean? So I made our first 21 and over album. I made on that SP1200, and then the next album same as well. So
Which
got some history.
I mean, that lends itself to an interesting question, right? Because Reggie and I were talking, like, you guys, have re-recorded a lot of your classic songs for this new project, Daaam. And what amazed me is I think all of us, we're all music heads. You've heard projects before that sound like re-records, and these sound very, authentic to me, both in terms of the beats and in terms of the rhymes. And, Swift, as you're mentioning, having the SP and having that rich historic formula, what was it like for you to make some of your own classics again? And how did you approach that technologically with what's available now?
So I didn't do any of the re-record beats. I just couldn't. They had some musicians, like producers, musicians. They had a whole team over there, and they approached us like, "Hey, we want to remake your songs, in the way that we see them in our head, and can you guys re-record the vocals again to these classic songs?" So, we went back and forth, and we was like, all right, let's do it. So J-Ro and Tash came to my studio at the house, and they re-recorded every single vocal over it. It was so amazing to me just to be reliving those moments, because they sounded exactly like the records. That's why when you're like, even the backgrounds, you know what I'm saying? You're like, wait a minute.
Easiest money.
That was fun. It was fun.
We do so many shows. It's like we used to saying them raps anyway.
Yeah, but your voices sound like 93, 95, 97 again. It's remarkable.
It was work, It was like we were conscious of that. Like, okay, it has to sound like, so might be doing a verse. I'm like, oh, I gotta pitch my voice a little.
Yeah, you gotta relax.
Right, absolutely.
But it's dope.
I was like, nah.
It's great that the three of you came together for that, and that you were there, even not necessarily remaking the beats, Swift, but like you were there, the three of you as a unit, coaching each other and holding each other accountable like that.
Yeah, and then we got some new songs that I did the beats for half of those, and then we had a couple people that had Theory Hazard did one, and then who else there was? Your people, yeah. So but yeah, no, reliving those moments was classic. And to be, a lot of people are recording songs, and they're over here. We all came together, and it's been a minute since we just been all in the studio, like at the same time recording songs. So
we did it quick too. We did 2 days.
One important note: we recorded them all sober this time.
Yes, every song we recorded sober. That's true. And did it all in 2 days.
I wrote that day.
Over a weekend.
Are all y'all sober these days?
Yeah, me.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I didn't stop drinking, but I never was like, it's been years since I was like a real drinker.
I haven't been drunk. I haven't been drunk in about 5 years.
Yeah, I'm sober.
Might have a glass of wine with my wife or something. But yeah.
What's changed?
Congratulate Tash, man. Not a drop.
Congratulations, man.
Tash, you've been completely sober for a minute, right?
Yeah, J-Ro said his last drink was 5 years ago. I quit 5 years ago, so we might have quit on the same night.
Wow.
I don't remember, but yeah, it's been a 5-year stint, no drink, but it's funny because people, like when they see you and everything, they treat you different now. You know what I mean? Like when I first and stuff, like I don't want to say it was so bad, but like when I used to go to parties and everything, they would hide the liquor because they didn't want to nothing and all this. Like everybody, I'm like, what y'all doing? And they done hid the liquor and all this.
What y'all doing over there?
They don't want to be bad influences and all this shit. And I'm like, man, come on, man. This is easy. Like, I just made a conscious decision to, step my game up. That's it.
Yeah.
That's great. I mean, we had Redman on this podcast earlier this year, and Red said, he took like over a year off of smoking weed. And I thought that was so inspirational. And I'm sure for him, just like for you guys, like Tash, it's cool to hear that story because I'd imagine it's the other way. Like you guys run into somebody at the airport or a fan after a show. I'm sure everybody's trying to buy you guys drinks.
Yeah, that's what it was. I was living up to the image. But
right. And you guys took ownership of the image and changed it. You were like, no, that's not who I am. And I think that's so phenomenal.
Yeah, with the help of my wife Michelle and my family support, it was kind of easy. Trying to stop it smoking, I think, is harder than alcohol. I'll tell you the truth.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, man, I'm seeing the results. Got new music on the way. Got music out right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, attention. The new drug. Somebody told me attention was a new drug.
Nah, you already know.
Oh, might be the most powerful drug out.
Yeah.
Remix.
So what was that like recording completely sober? Like, I mean, 'cause that's a very different than how y'all did it in the past. Like, how did that feel?
It was honestly, it was effortless. Like no one was. I mean, we're grown now too. You know what I'm saying? Like J-Ro had wife, his kid over. Like we're doing regular shit, but we're in there recording. So the party. It ain't over, but that party over. Like we're adults. We're mature. You know what I'm saying? We got lives that
I smoked my way through it. Me.
Huh?
I said I smoked, but but that was just me.
Yeah, I mean that's cool. But we wasn't like itching for the party, you know what I'm saying? Actually we got a lot more done without the distractions. Like I said, it took us 2 days to do all that.
So were y'all studying the records line by line to get the cadence? Like how'd y'all do it?
No, like Tash said, we've been performing for so long, doing shows. We role warriors, man. We used to do like 100+ shows a year at least, going to Europe twice a year. And all of those songs we re-recorded, we do in our show. So it was just like we had to really myself, I had to hold back because I'm rapping like I'm performing because that's what I'm used to now. So some parts I might not say, and Tash comes in that we're doing our routines. I'm like, oh, I gotta say that part now. I gotta get my breath control up to where I can say the whole verse without stopping now, without holding the mic out to the crowd or something, But other than that, it was just like it. I could say those rhymes in my sleep. You know what I mean? It's not like we have to go and rehearse before we go on the show or whatever. It's just in us now, But just the sound of our voices and the backgrounds was real important because we always did like certain kind of background noises
and
and all that.
harmonizing and all that.
Yeah, we had to get those right and that was the challenging part for me.
You
So you were
mentioned
talking about the 5 new songs, where are you guys creatively now? Like, how did y'all come up with the sound? Did one person have an idea or y'all got in and just kind of worked it out? How did that happen?
Yeah, look, we always working, you know what I'm saying? So we'll have songs that's sitting there that aren't complete. So, when it's time to really dive into a project, we even did that with our first album, like Make Room and all that. Those were songs we had from demos that we had been working on, just waiting for the right opportunity to put it out. Same here. We've had songs, that weren't complete. So we just start playing stuff in the archives, playing beats, and boom, that's it kind of came together pretty fast like that. Like, oh shit, we need to put a verse on here. Oh, let's get so and so on here, or not even go get so and so on here. It's just the circumstances that we're being. We're always, creative, and always got people around us. So if it works, it's like Planet Asia. Like I was playing him the Mary Jane part 2, and he's like, "Let me get on there." I threw the beat on. He had it done in an hour. You know what I'm saying? So it's all organic shit. None of the songs were really like talked about before we went in. It was kind of just like with the rest of our stuff, like play it, let it go. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of how they came about though.
Mm.
But
You
yeah,
respond off of each other?
oh yeah, Tash,
Mhm.
Tash. Like do y'all like respond off of each other as far as like going back and forth?
Ideas
Yeah,
or
just like watching the song take shape, he might say something that prompts you to say something or change a
Oh yeah,
lineup.
that happens a lot.
yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, we did that much more back in the days when we was just studio rats. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We was together living in the same city. It was little, we did that a lot. But this was more like, okay, I'm gonna leave you with this, Swift. I'm
Yep.
gonna leave all this
Yep.
work on the desk, and Swift just knocked it all out. He
Yeah.
did the mixing and arranging everything for us, and yeah, so it's a little different now, but yeah, that's just pretty much how we work.
Mm.
What made it easier too on my end though, the songs came with the hooks on it this time. Like, you know, raps on deck, but you be 2 days trying to think of something to say in the middle. I mean the hook. But these came
Yeah.
with hands to the ceiling and the licks and all that. It came with,
I learned that from Pharrell. I learned that straight from Pharrell. I swear to God, he was like, "Hey man, I will never submit songs that don't have the hooks already on them
I learned that
because
from Big Pun. Remember Big Pun told
yeah,
us
Oh
he said
wow.
yeah."
Yeah,
he hooks on his album first, then he gonna start writing the lyrics.
Mm.
He
As you
started
meant,
making songs easier too. You know,
as you
getting the hard
mentioned,
part.
Puntash. I don't mean to speak over anybody, but I was, curious. The interesting thing is you guys were kind of like the West Coast contingency of Loud, but it always seemed like that label functioned like a family, like a Rockefeller, and obviously, your solo album Tash, you had a lot of the label mates on there. But what
Mhm.
was the camaraderie, on that roster? And I know you guys still get together for reunions and things like that.
Man, it was like a football team, man. It was camaraderie. It was I'm still in tune with a lot of the dudes that was on Loud to this day. Too many to name actually, but yeah, man, it was a dope time because it was like, the whole thing with rap is competitive. You know what I'm saying? Like everything that rappers talk about and everything, they want to outdo somebody, outdo this. So it was kind of like a label thing going on with all the labels that had hip hop groups and shit. Like all the labels was like a team, like Def Jam. We used to do shit purposely just to outdo Def Jam at the time. But we had a stacked roster though. Think about it. We had Mobb Deep, Wu Tang, Big Pun, Xzibit, Alcoholics,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then we ended up merging, and we ended up having Pete Rock and
Sadat.
Beating Up when we went through, with the whole relativity and
3 6
Sony Band,
Mafia, all that, yeah.
Six
yeah,
Mafia.
yeah. It turned into a big thing, but
Jimmy.
like we were actually I want to. We were the first group on Loud to really get national airplay, but the first artist was actually Twista. He put out something on Loud, and then a group
Quest the
called
Mad Lad,
Madcap.
right? Or no?
Yeah,
Oh,
Mad,
Big Bad. Yeah, Cat.
yeah, Madcap. But
Mad
so
Cat.
we kind of really started it off, and then Wu Tang after us, and so it started building, and it wasn't like a thing where they planned like we're gonna be this family, because once we came out and Xzibit, it pretty much they moved to the East Coast. Their office was in L.A. at first when we
Mhm.
started, just a little office with boxes, no desks or nothing.
Mm.
Cuba.
So that's how Loud started. But then they moved their offices to the East Coast, and that's why Mobb Deep and all these groups started coming onto the label, and it just all seemed right. Like, okay, we kind of on the same vibe. All our music sounds different, but we in the
Yeah.
same going in the same direction. As far as trying to make some real hip hop and whatnot. So that felt good to be on a label like that where they wasn't trying to force us to wear shiny suits and and
Mm.
make radio hits and this and that, and so it felt good to be on there. So I think that's what really gelled us all together,
Mm.
as far as if it may look like that from the outside, but there were no like we didn't have family barbecues and all meetups and all that type of stuff. It just was natural, you know.
So
You
Tash, you talked about competition in hip hop and competitions between labels, but given the crazy roster y'all had, did y'all compete with each other on Loud too?
Mm, I
I
ain't even.
wouldn't say it was competition, but it was like I said, it was just like we was all moving in the same direction, kind of. So we had to keep our level up, like keep that level up, man. And then we all kind of work together, work with each other, and so it was all good. But I wouldn't say like competition, like we gotta outdo our label mates or whatever. We just
Yeah.
had
Yeah.
to keep
And you gotta
moving in that
consider too, man. We had our own lane, man. Like we was on like the Warp Tour, the Vans Warp Tour with the skateboarders and all this shit. But everybody else was doing the grimy tours and
Mhm.
Right.
the,
Mhm.
the
And
Mhm.
then we'd hop on some of those too. And like a lot of people don't know, man, like we did some of the biggest tours, man, like to be considered an underground hip hop group. Like, I mean, our first big tour as the Alcoholics was with De La Soul and Tribe Called Quest. So it's just us three, grinding it out like I don't like so many dates. And like we started off without a tour bus. We were in a rented Cadillac, you know what I mean? Just
Follow
taking turns driving out there, busting our ass doing these shows, proving ourselves. And by the end of the tour, I mean, we beat them to the venue in the car. They pull up in the tour bus, we
yeah,
already in the parking lot chilling.
like they was like, y'all crazy, man. Like,
Y'all crazy. I'm
yeah.
talking about luggage packed all the way in the back, inside the car, in the trunk. Like we was grinding. And then by the end of that tour, though, like after they saw us get down and prove ourselves and saw how these people was reacting, we ended up with a tour bus. You know what I'm saying? So we went from rags to riches like that, but we bust our ass. And then we toured with Biggie. Like when Biggie was popping, he wanted us to come with him. You know what I mean?
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, we've done it all, man. We
Tour,
Wow.
we
like
did a 40-day tour with Snoop, you
yep,
know.
did before they tour.
And we
Yep.
we toured with Primus.
Mm.
Yep. Yeah, I
No,
just showed somebody the prime that I got the flyer for that tour. I just showed it to my
what?
boy the other day when I was in Florida because he was just random. He's from Philly. He was randomly talking about how he was wanting to go to this Primus concert and he was so excited and big and grand. And I was like, look at this. And I showed him the flyer. He's like, no
And
way,
the
dude.
Aquabats.
It was us,
Aquabats.
Aquabats, and boys from Sacramento.
Pennywise.
No, not Pennywise. With Chino and them. Deftones.
oh,
Deftones.
Yeah,
Yeah. The Deftones, our brothers.
You
Deftones.
toured with Biggie. Was that after the whole Pac thing had popped off or no?
Yeah, I was before.
That
Okay.
was before. Yeah,
It
yeah.
was when he first started popping. Like I think his album had like he was promoting this album, his
Gotcha.
first album.
Yeah.
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 I mean, he
And
always
that,
said, "What? Go ahead."
I was about to say that's the tour where he also told us his biggest rap influence was our mentor, King T.
Oh,
Yeah,
word. Mm.
that came from his mouth, from Puffy's mouth, and
Mm.
and when you start listening to the Biggie, you would hear how he rapped and like his voice, and you listen to King T, you're like, oh shit,
You could
Yeah.
hear
yeah,
it. You could hear that
you can hear it.
delivery, and that lends itself to a question I've always wanted to ask you guys: is, you know, Swift, you mentioned it earlier with DJ Pooh. You guys had amazing mentors with King T,
Yeah,
DJ Pooh. You mentioned the whole Uncle Jam's army, but you three are amazing mentors. Reggie mentioned it, but you got Xzibit, you got Madlib, you got Defari, Feel the Agony, on and on. How much having great people at the onset of your career made you help folks that are, went and did amazing things with their careers?
man.
Matter of
For
fact,
me, I'll honestly say like I enjoy that more than anything musically. Like as far as I'd rather find somebody dope nobody's heard of yet and introduce them to the world and catch them early than to just be like, oh, so and so who's already big is looking for this and that, and it's kind of like feeding into their lane. Like that's always been like one of my driving forces. Like, and that's why we've always kind of been, even though I've done a lot of stuff outside of us, we've always been self-contained and kind of thrived off that and created our own lane, like you said, with all the people you mentioned. Um, so yeah, that's that's big to me, you know,
Mm.
like breaking out new talent. That's the biggest.
So you guys,
I
were you
learned that
ever
from
approached by
Ice-T
w-
Syndicate.
sorry, go ahead,
I was
Joey.
about to say, I was just about to
I'll
say,
say
go ahead.
I learned that from my perspective. I learned that from Ice-T when he created the Syndicate, and
Yeah.
you know, King T was part of that. And I was like, man, whenever you gotta form a crew around you. That's hip hop to me. Like you gotta form a crew. You gotta have a posse, a crew, or whatever. You know, so we gotta keep finding talent, and you know, and that kind of keeps our name alive. You
Mm.
know, it was saying like we were saying the other day, there's not too many artists who don't really do that and that can become successful
Mm.
because it really keeps your name in alive, like EPMD did it, you
Yeah.
know. So you when you think of EPMD, all of a sudden you know you already thinking of Redman and DOS Effects and
Mhm.
you know
Craig
Keith
Mack,
Murray.
or yeah, Craig Mack, yeah, all of it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So I
So
gotta
yeah,
ask though, like, I would ask this. You guys just mentioned De La and Tribe, and Reggie and I have asked those guys how close things really got to a Native Tongues album. Did things ever get really close to a proper Liquid Crew album?
uh,
You know,
we never
I
had
can't even
the
say it has.
opportunity.
I can't even
No,
say it really has. Like we got closer to doing a Lick Nuts album with the Beat Nuts than we did to doing a Liquid Crew album, which is crazy
yeah,
Mhm.
because
yeah.
we
By
were
the
around
time,
so each other so
yeah,
much that music was like
Mm.
we was doing it. It wasn't a. I don't know. We kind of. I don't know. We should have been had like 10 of those out,
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah. Because
but
Liquid Crew, we're a little different than say like Def Squad or something, where I think they were like under contract and they were like business wise, but we were just kind of a loose fitting crew, like of homies that was doing music, and we called ourselves the Liquid Crew. But nobody was under contract. We didn't have like a Liquid Crew company that
right.
everyone was under or nothing like that. I sometimes think we should have. You know, I think
I pitched
we could have
times
really
pitched it,
done
but
more with it. Yeah.
I
You're saying
pitched
you
it.
pitched it?
Yeah, I pitched it a couple of times, but it was a lot of politicking.
a lot of this, a lot of that.
I was like, look, yay or nay. That's what everybody said.
What we doing?
Oh,
Yeah. So
hey,
J-Ro, you mentioned there was Ice-T's Rhyme Syndicate. Y'all came up during the Death Row era. There was a lot of movements happening on the West Coast. Did anyone ever approach you guys about signing to like a West Coast label as opposed to, like was there a competition there or like it was always going to be about loud?
So our first demo that we presented to Loud Records was had a lot of the songs. We had a they used to do these demo deals at the labels. You know, they give you a
Mhm.
little budget, go in the studio, let's see what you can do, right? So it was this label through A&M Records. Janet Jackson's label, A&M Records. You
Oh
know, they
wow.
had
Yeah.
there was a guy there named Chris. Y'all remember? I don't know if y'all remember Chris.
I
Chris was the
remember.
A&M, and he was digging our stuff. He was on this. He had his ear to the streets. We was out there making some noise, and he was like, "Yo, I want to, see if we can get you over here. I'm gonna, put up a couple dollars to get y'all in the studio for like I don't know, was it weekend, 3 days? Um, so we did that.
We
He
made
also
like
had
20 songs in 3 days.
we did like 20 songs in like 3 days. It became this classic underground demo tape that to this day, not too long ago, Regina King, actress, phenomenon. She was on the hip hop scene back then, and she loved our stuff. So even to this day, if Regina King sees me, she's gonna start rapping my verse off of
Wow.
one of the songs on that demo tape. To this day,
Wow.
like
Wow.
over 30 years later, and it blows my mind. But so yeah, so we started like Jero said, we did like 20 songs over a weekend. Something happened where he was no longer in the position over there. They was kind of restructuring their rap department and all that. So we took those demos and we got them to over there to Loud Records like later on, and they were like that. That's what got us in the door over there. All the songs we did off of that situation, and then we went and changed them up and did some little mixings to them. But that's what spearheaded the whole thing. You know.
Yeah. So when I listen to Hip-Hop Drunkies, the original ODB was such a big part of it. How did you guys, maneuver around that and recreating it?
Man,
Oh,
most memorable studio session ever.
Oh, okay.
So he was about 2-3 hours late. We sitting there. He comes in with a couple bottles, and I think we sat there for another 3 hours before we even started doing anything. And it was just crazy, man. Like, you listen to the end of the song, we was literally elbowing each other off the mic. We was all in the studio at the same time, like the Jackson 5, just like my turn, and we just left it like that. But the story of the track, it's the intro to the symphony video. When you watch the symphony video, that music. So the thing is, King T used to have this he had a small apartment, and his TV was almost big as his living room. But we used to watch videos, and every time that video would come on, we'll pump it up because the beginning of it, that beat was just so hard. And so at our first album, I was like, Swift, we gotta use that. But it was all we had was on VHS, and the sound was terrible, so we couldn't use it. So Swift, you could tell them a little more about how you got that.
Yeah, so we had did a demo off of that version I made what I sampled off the VHS tape, but it just was it wasn't gonna fly. So I reached out, somehow I got in touch with Marley Marl, my top producer ever, who got me, who was my mentor. Not my mentor, but he was I wanted to be Marley Marl. You know what I'm saying? Got in touch with Marley Marl, and he was so into our stuff. He was like, man, I'll be honored to just send you all the sounds, all the stems. I still have them. So he sent. So I remember that it was just like the same day, no, like the next day, because I'm like, look, I don't want to do it for free. I got a little budget, plus size. And he said, that's cool, like whatever you want to do. He said, you don't gotta give me credit or nothing. I said, no, we'll just do like co-producer thing. And it's crazy because I'm talking to Marley Marl, negotiating a deal to do it. And he was the coolest motherfuckers, right? So he said, all right. And he said, no problem, man. Just I'm gonna put him on that tape, and I'm gonna run him to FedEx right now. So he put him on that, and he went and basically, like, to me, it's like he hand delivered me this masterpiece. It was like gave us some blessings to do whatever we wanted to do with it, man. So
that's
that was dope, man.
That's incredible. Yeah. Tash, what you remember about that record?
That's back when I used to drink a lot, so not much.
That's about right.
Been late. I remember he was late, and I remember the part where we was all on the microphone at the same time. Other than that, I Swift with him again.
Yeah, I don't even remember y'all writing the lyrics. I don't remember y'all writing. Like, to me it seemed like, because y'all might have written them down, but it didn't seem like it.
It all just came together, man. It was one of those songs it wasn't planned. We wasn't like, okay, this is the hook, or are you gonna come in first? It was just like it exploded out of us, man.
That shit was
it was just crazy. And one thing I remember, he was telling us about all his kids. He said he had like 12 kids, and this is before it got publicized, man. So we was the first one on that. He was just telling us all the stories, like crazy drama. And
crazy drama. I love my baby mamas.
Yeah. He was the greatest, man. He was the greatest. Rest in peace to ODB, man, for sure.
So then what was it like? I mean, given the experience you guys had, what was it like making this new record without him?
It was
fun. I think I heard that was in the air trying to get young DB.
Yeah, we were gonna try to get sound on there, but
Oh,
didn't
Yeah,
out.
but
But
yeah, so we just had to just
yeah,
edit our verses together. It wasn't.
our thoughts was with him though, man. He just came into our thoughts as we was making it. Like, man, like just that session came back, and our other interactions with him was like
Yeah.
you
We
just
have many
came
episodes
back.
of ODB, man. Crap, man.
yeah.
Yeah.
Miss that dude, man.
Mm.
You, J-Ro, you had mentioned, Rhyme Syndicate, and years ago, like 15 years ago, I interviewed Ice-T, and he might have been the same building you were just referring to with, King T's Big Television, but he said that, he and Tila lived in the same building, and he
Yeah,
was
yeah.
he was describing you guys, as teenagers, or probably that Uncle Jam's era of your lives, and just the hunger that the three of you had, and really just like as a testament to tenacity. And I'm just curious, I don't know that you guys ever, as the Licks ever made any records with Ice-T, but I'm curious. I mean, he's known for giving game. Was there
Yeah.
a pearl of
He's
wisdom or something that ever stuck with you from Ice-T?
he's the I call him my uncle, man. I talk to him every now and then, and he's just always giving wisdom. One thing I could tell you, uh, um, I I was just doing. I had some demos, right? So at the time, I'm kind of living with King T. They lived in the same building, and I had a job at a supermarket. So I was at King T's house. I'm about to go to work. So I'm like, let me knock on Ice's door and just play him this song real quick, see what he think about it before I go to work. Knock on his door. He's like, come on in. Come in his apartment. I was there for like 2 hours. Did miss work. I said, Ice, I gotta go. He's just kicking game to me, showing me videos of him in Europe, and I'm just like blown away. But he's just kicking me game. And one thing I would say he told us about when you do a song on a movie, he told us right before we did the Fridays soundtrack. He told us what the pay scale was, and we
Mhm.
didn't know. And they
Mhm.
actually offered us less,
Oh
and we was
wow.
like, "Nope, there's a standard." And they were like, "Oh yeah, 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 that's right." And we got what we were supposed to get. So that was
So
that
did.
was some cold game he gave
So
us right
did.
there.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that.
That's dope.
Might be the greatest hip hop soundtrack.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I
We
agree.
got Ice though. We
Like
got,
3, 4 million songs.
Mm.
but
On,
like Ice
uh,
T is like between him, Pooh, and King T. That's like my biggest influences in hip hop as far as up close and personally being with somebody that already, in my opinion, made it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
Mm.
he was like a super. He was balling back when we was kids. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
So he come
yeah,
out with the
yeah.
foreigns and all this other shit, and I used to be blown back. And he was like the first one to what the kids say, like he was the first one to put a battery in my back, kind of.
Mhm.
Like me and
Yeah.
Tila was homeboys by then, and this and that. So Tila used to, big up, when we did something good. But Ice T gave me a compliment one time, and from that point on, I was just like, if he said that, then anything, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Plus,
So
I
what would you say is your Mount Rushmore of West Coast rap groups?
Oh,
whoop,
West
rap
Coast
groups.
rap group.
West Coast rap groups, yeah.
and double
Compton's most wanted. Compton's most wanted.
money.
Um, NWA. Uh,
Far side,
Far Side. Yep. And hieroglyphics.
Hieroglyphic.
NWA.
Mm.
Yep, I say
Uh,
NWA.
I said that first.
uh, um, Low profile.
mm.
Yep. Low.
One
I thought
album, but it was
it
a great one.
I thought it was four on the Mount Rushmore. It's only
Low
four.
profiles is for me like crazy.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean,
There's so many. There's so many.
it's too many. It's too many, man.
Yeah,
You
because you gotta
know,
go. Yeah, it's so
Cypress.
many. Huh?
You said Cypress?
Cypress Hill. I
Cypress
mean,
Hill. My goodness.
I mean,
There's too many to the name, really.
Yeah. We gotta get another mountain peak.
The
yeah.
alcoholic.
We got it.
Alcoholics.
We gotta
Alcoholics,
have to
yep.
go down.
Alcoholics. I put
Hey, I,
alcoholics in
I,
there.
I just, I just, I wanted to tell one more Ice-T story, man.
Yeah.
We in King T house, and Ice-T knocks on the door, opens the door, and I don't think anyone has ever seen him like this before. But his hair, he let his hair out as an afro, and he just had on like his wife beater. He's like, "Yo, yo!" We like, "What happened?" Ice like, "What? He looking crazy, man." He said he had this record in his hand. He said,
Yes,
"Y'all gotta hear this. Y'all
yes.
gotta hear this." We like, "What is it?" He like, "Man, just listen to it." He puts the record on the turntable, and it's LL Cool J's "To the Break of Dawn" on the
Yep,
test
Oh,
press.
I was there. I
oh,
remember.
On
Wow.
the test press where LL is dissing him, Hammer, and Kool Moe D.
Yep.
And he like, "Man, this is dope." Like,
Yeah,
yeah, going
yeah, yeah. He
oh.
did. He was like, "Yo, this is dope. LL's dissing me.
Were
That's
you
like,
Yo."
crazy.
were you guys ever around Pooh for the LL sessions?
Um,
no, that was in
New
they
York.
were in New York.
yeah, they
Gotcha.
You
went to New
know,
York.
this is one reason I had to go meet E Swift, because Pooh was my DJ of our group. We had a group called Total Control, and he left to New York to work on that record with
Mhm.
LA Posse. And big shout out to LA Posse, man. They was my
Dylan,
Oh,
superheroes,
hell
man.
yeah.
Bobcat.
Yeah, Bobcat and all them. So the studio we recorded 21 and over and Coast to Coast. Bobcat actually was introduced us to that studio, right?
Yep, yep.
So we had a session one day, and LL was in there with Bobcat. They were running
Yep.
overtime, and we was just waiting like, "Oh, it's cool, man. Like, y'all do your thing." Like, so that was dope, man. Just to get to meet him and
Yeah, and I
see
played him some beats, and there was
that.
this one beat. He was like, "Yo, save that one for me. It never happened, but I
Yeah,
was like, wow, LL Cool J is about to rap over one of my beats.
Did
yeah,
you
and
save it? Is it still set aside?
Man, that's to this day. I'm like,
that's
every time
when
I
he
see
did
him,
the
like, I still
skit. He
got
did
it.
a skit for us. He did the skit
He
on the
did.
Coast to Coast album.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Tash, you had mentioned Cypress Hill. I mean, on your solo album, you got Be Real, you got Outkast, and you got Phil together on a record. When we talk about like, and that was before the internet era, so the collaboration just meant something different. How did you orchestrate that? And tell me about, manifesting that.
That's another one of them. I gotta think about it.
That
You said
was all me. That was all me.
I want you.
That was all me.
He
So
said
I
that,
made.
but he might be right on
I,
this one.
I, I was like, because Tash thought he's like, yeah, that'd be great if we could make. So originally it was supposed to be just Big Boy, right? So I made this beat, and I was like, Tash, this sounds like some smoking music. Like, I like you should do a song with and get. Because me and Big Boy talked a lot. Like, we had a good relationship, and Andre. So
Shout out Rico Wade. That's what I just do.
and we had the same. We also had we were signed to the same publishing company, Chrysalis, me and Outkast, and so we had a lot of interactions back doing stuff. And then so he was like, "Cool, I'm with it." Like I ran it by Loud Records. They were cool with it. Um, so we went in the studio. They were coming to town. Tash, we had the studio session already booked, working on his record. Big Boy came through, and I didn't know Dre was coming, too, because originally it was at a time where he wasn't really, he was kind of tinkering with like not rapping as much on other stuff.
You starting to fall
So
back. Yeah.
yes, he was falling back a little bit. So we get in the studio and Big Boy's writing his verse, and then you see Dre over there just jotting stuff down, and then Big Boy pulled me to the side and was like, "Hey man, Dre wants to get on this song. Like I haven't seen him write in the studio since our first album was like, this is crazy." I was like, yeah. And I was like, yo, you want to get on here? He's like, yo, man, I'm digging this. Let me put something down. So I was like, all right. I called Loud Records like, hey, he's going to do it. Let's bring him a check right now. Don't look like they had a check up there for him the same night, right? And he wasn't even expecting it, but I was like, yo, this is Outkast, and we got to take care of them. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, it just organically happened like that. You know, and then Be Real, I think was Tash's suggestion, and then Phil was always around, so
Yeah,
it just kind of worked out like that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So you talked on the new album about bringing your era back. So what does that era represent to you sonically and culturally?
Man, I want to hear some scratching. I want to hear the boom bap is like, it's too general. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just want to hear authentic music. You know what I'm saying? I want to hear things that's not everything sounding the same. Where a song comes on, I instantly know who that artist is. They're not disguising their voice with all these tricks and all that. Like, just bring that era back. Where people really care about the music, to where you go buy the album and you want to see who produced it, who mixed it, who's see the shout outs on the back of the album. Like, I want to bring it back to that type of shit, But
What's about to bring that back, man? We was talking about that song I got out called Attention is a Drug, but the closest we're here to that era coming out this summer is the remix to Attention is a Drug.
Oh yeah?
He's not good. That's facts.
I went and got Q-Tip from Tribe Called Quest, Xzibit from Coast. King T starts it off. Sway in the morning is coaching you through the whole shit. The Far Right Hey, the licks, baby. It's the licks.
It's crazy.
They saying it brings back.
You need to send it to them as soon as you get off.
Yeah, please. That record went
shout out to
crazy.
y'all too, because y'all really broke the Attention is a Drug. Now that I think about it, y'all was the first ones to jump on and say, "Let's throw this up."
Yeah.
And then I did it, started moving, and everybody else started hitting me. The sweat.
Send them the remix. Send them the remix.
Appreciate that, man. Yo, can you talk about the record? Can you talk about the record? Because it went crazy for us. Like, people people really resonated with it. So can you break down, like, how you thought of it and like how it all came together?
Yeah, actually I had that song for a little minute and everything, and I tried to get J-Wo and Swift on it. It was supposed to be an alcoholic song at first, and everybody was busy and doing this and doing that, so I ended up just doing two verses, and I just had it in the stash, really just like another song, just on deck and everything, and I started playing it for people, man, and sending it to like key DJs, like my man, like Tony Touch, and I think I sent it to Kid Capri, and I sent it to DJ Quick, and all these different people started hitting me back with this response that was so needed for me at the time, mentally, and just because I'm a rapper, you know what I'm saying? So
right.
do it for the feeling of people liking your stuff, and then it just got out of hand where it was like everybody was hitting me like, "Why you ain't dropping this right now?" And this and that, and we we mixed it and mastered it and everything. And I just said, let's just throw it out and just as a buzz record. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It went crazy, and it was like a jump start to my whole, because I'm trying to do this week, since I stopped the drinking and doing this and doing that. I just want to see what I could do now that I'm focused. So, I'm heavily off into the music again. And I just think this remix that we did is gonna be classic. Because when's the last time you heard the licks in A Tribe Called Quest? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, man, that's crazy.
man.
Can't wait to hear that, man.
And it's full circle to that tour you're talking about of you guys in the Cadillac. Like all these intersections have history to them. That's what's so cool.
And fight J-Wo. I mean, not saying J-Wo dude, but him and J-Wo was gonna start a sports, radio sports.
Wow.
What was it? It was a show, a radio show.
Yeah.
That's what I remember about that tour. J-Wo and Fife, doing the back and forth with the sports real tough, and me and Q2 doing what we do. Yeah, it was a great time. So it was good to see everything go 360 degrees.
Yeah, I love the record, man. I love the sound of it. You definitely spit on it like crazy. And we started talking before we were recording about substance in lyrics these days, right? And you got a message that I think is incredibly powerful and needs to be out there. So I was really happy to see the record do what it did,
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
I gotta say,
dope record.
It's crazy. Hey, Jake, that it's just hell of a coincidental that that record hanging on your wall, that Headhunters album.
Yeah.
The first demo we ever did as a group was called I Gets Funky, and we sampled the song, the Watermelon Man song, off of that album that's right behind your
Oh
shoulder.
wow. Was that so?
And I'm
That's dope you bring that up. And again, everything is full circle. But like when you guys were talking earlier with the A&M budget for the demo, was that the Everyday Street People demo or
Everyday
the
Street Poets. Yeah,
Street Poets? Sorry,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah,
that's
nah,
cool.
the
that
whole
wasn't with
album.
Tash Swift, wasn't it? A&M.
No. That was
Huh.
Everyday ESP. That was it's the
ESP.
ESP demo. Yeah, that
ESP.
was
We
ESP all
even
day.
had a promotional picture that we took
Yeah.
for that. Like
Yeah.
we was ready.
Yeah.
We was ready.
Mail
We
it out
thought
to the
it was going. We thought it
Oh
was.
yeah.
We was like, I ran home to my mom. Mom, we made it. Like,
Yeah. We
Do
did a
you
big
yeah.
ever?
studio. We recorded it. Oh wow.
Do you guys ever wonder? Like, I'm curious too, and I appreciated what you said earlier of like Loud never forcing you guys into anything. But I know that, I mean, we talked about it a minute ago with Sobriety. You guys had an image. You were the party. I mean, you rap your ass off, make dope beats, but you guys were a party group. And I'm
Yeah.
curious, like, had the ESP worked, would we be looking at the licks in a conversation with like Farside or Freestyle Fellowship or, obviously in your own lane, but I'm always curious, like, do you ever wonder if that would have taken how people would perceive the three of your music differently, if at all?
I
I,
think we were the same people. We were still um we still like making dope beats and lyrics. We carried that vibe over, but we kind of had a theme to work with as the Alcoholics. We had a real
right.
theme. We can make us
College frat party drunk
we own
funk.
we own drinking now. We own it.
Yeah.
You can't really. We talked to one of the dudes from Young Black Teenagers, and they tapped the bottle
Bottle.
song, right? And we was like, okay, cool. And he was like, man, we wanted to do a remix, and we was like, you guys was the only ones we could have had on the remix. We was like, yeah, of course, like. But yeah, we owned that. We had a lot of fun with it, man. And when I was a kid, I used to have I had nightmares about that Headhunters album cover. By the way,
It's scary.
Yeah,
I remember the nightmare. I had nightmares.
that's crazy. I could definitely hear y'all on Tap the Bottle remix. Y'all were talking about Outkast earlier, right? And a lot of people don't realize, but their first single, Players Ball, was a Christmas song. And
Ah.
y'all put a Christmas joint on this new album, Licksmith. So what made y'all decide to do a Christmas rap, and what are some of the greatest Christmas rap songs y'all could think of?
It
Run
was
DMC.
actually yeah, DMC Run DMC probably got the top one. And we
Country Beat Street.
Beat Street, yeah.
Yeah.
We've always wanted to just do a Christmas song because around Christmas we always like, damn man, you hear like on commercials and all these like TV shows, you hear like a cool Christmas song playing in the background. We like
Every year
every
we
time,
would say
every
that we
year.
should have made a
But
Christmas song.
every time it would come to our in our head, it'd be already Christmas time. So it's like, all right, let's do one early in the year so it's ready for Christmas. You know what I mean? So, but we wanted to make it different. We make
Yeah.
it jingle
Finally,
bell.
we did it.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
I love hearing the three of you speak, and I can feel the camaraderie between you. And I really appreciated that image of like Tash with the hat, at Uncle Jam's Army, running up to you, Swift. I'm curious. I know it was only 2 days of you guys in the studio, but like, did doing this music, whether the new stuff or re-recording the old stuff, did any of it like, and this is individual to each of you, did any of it like unlock a new memory or reconnect you or make you feel some sense of validation on the last 35 years of your life?
Uh, Definitely. Like I reflect on that every day, man. Like every day there's some alcoholic related business or something that comes across all our plates every day. You know what I mean? So every time, even like doing this interview, it's like the fact that we've been doing this for over 30 years and still getting the attention that we get and the love we get is more than we ever imagined. You know what I'm saying? We were just three kids that loved hip hop music and just threw everything we had into it, So
Yeah.
Everything, all this brings back so much, and our camaraderie has always been the same. Like we've always been brothers from day one. So anytime we get a chance to get together, it's a good time. So
It's amazing.
definitely,
It's amazing.
yeah,
The love that I didn't know we got. We was way bigger than I thought we was. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm going to these events and everything. I'm still out there because I'm trying to push the attention as a drug single and everything. But I'm getting love from actors and basketball players and all these. We ain't went nowhere and everything, but it just seems like it's a resurgence right now, and I'm loving it.
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
I
yeah.
see
yeah,
When
by
y'all
the end of the
start,
summer, I'm flooding this part.
yeah. Like Lincoln
when,
Park just did Drink Champs and was talking about how much we influenced them at the like in the end of the interview. They went and they was it was good to hear people like that, you
Yeah,
know,
and shout out
express how
EFN DJ EFN linked us up with him after that interview. So shout
Oh,
yeah,
out to
dope.
good
yeah.
dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's been a
y'all.
one continuous journey, man. I want to say these is my brothers, man. I love them like we from the same parents. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying? And
sir.
and we've been through ups and downs together and all over the world,
Yeah.
living together. You know all these years, and now that we're kind of apart, it's a unspoken bond. You know, if we don't see each other or talk to each other for months we come back together and it's just like what's up, let's
Yeah,
go,
just
let's
pick
do
up
it, man.
where we left off. Easy.
Yeah,
It's
and
easy.
I don't know if you guys know this, but I became a Orthodox Christian
Mm,
a few years ago. I was baptized into Orthodox Christianity. If you don't know what that is, it's the unchanged Christianity. It's not nothing has ever changed in 2,000 years. So it's a few struggles I have as far as moving forward
mm,
with it. And I talked to my spiritual um father, and it's like, hip hop music is not really conducive to what, your path you're going now. But he said, very importantly, you cannot break your bond with your brothers,
mm,
so just figure out a way to do it without, going back to how what you were doing before. So I've come with a movement called remission,
mm,
R capital R capital E mission. Just to go bring hip hop back to what it was, and I'm gonna ask my brothers, my rappers from our era. I know I've heard Method Man say that. He said he haven't cursed on a song in like 12 years or something like that. I don't know what the
mhm,
and I'm like, wow. So I see kind of like we all getting older, we getting more spiritual, and we getting closer to the end, So it's like I want to just get it out there to cats, maybe we can try to do a song without a cuss word or disrespecting women or
Yeah.
pop
yeah.
started, and that's the remission. Let's start the mission over again. Try to make dope music without being so vulgar or whatever. Because I was the worst. I was the
Yeah.
worst. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of a challenge for me even to do live shows now because I'm
Yeah.
this and that, but it is what it is. It's me. It's my past, my history. Is who I am, and these are my brothers who I would never cut ties with for no reason. So just want to let that be known, and
Dope.
that it's been a continuous journey. We don't have no breaks in our journey, and not too many groups can really say that. You
Mm.
know.
Yeah,
That's dope.
Meth, I think I was one of the first people Meth told that to publicly back in 2015 about not cursing, right? And if you think
Oh
about
wow, that was back then even.
Okay.
Yeah,
yeah,
wow.
yeah, yeah.
I
He
just
And
hasn't deviated.
if
I
you
just
think about
recently
it,
saw.
it's full circle because, we were talking about this again before we started recording. Rap music used to be about fun and positivity. And you had Chuck
Yeah.
D and Public Enemy and like people kicking knowledge, KRS-One, teaching people things through rap. And so there's no
Right.
reason why we can't reclaim that. And I love this new era and the resurfacing of artists from, earlier eras. I listened to Xzibit's album a lot over the last couple of months, and he's kicking game. Kingmaker's all about making kings, right? Like having people. And I love hearing you guys say this. So there's no reason why you can't continue to build it in your music. Tash, you're doing it already with, attention is a drug. So, I'm looking forward to what you guys got next. I hope you guys do go on tour, however it fits. Are you guys thinking about that?
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
we are.
You're gonna
Yeah,
see us out on
absolutely.
the road uh next year, at least by next year. And
We got
we're
uh,
listening to Wild Child's new album. He got a new album coming out, and he's on the same vibe, man, upliftment. So
Wow,
I've
child.
heard some of it, and it's crazy. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
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 Well, yo, this has been an honor, guys. Truly. Is there anything else you want people to know before we part ways?
Man, just check out our catalog. Like if this is your first time even hearing about us, like and you're into hip hop music, you will be thoroughly impressed. I can humbly say that. Like go dig into the vaults, and not just us, like all the cats that spawned from us. You know what I mean? Like Xzibit's catalog, Madlib's phenomenal, outstanding long catalog. Everybody that came from the Far Eye, you can go down, go Razzcast,
Mm.
Dilated People, like all these people that are associated with our West Coast hip hop sound. This is a ton of us. So just dive in, and go down that rabbit hole and just kind of discover, you know, where we came from, and
Mm.
and
The
check out
licks,
what we got.
baby.
and
The
Yeah,
to all the
licks, baby.
like
publications out
Licks.
there, all of them, man, start mentioning us with the big boys, man, because we put in a lot of work, and it
Mm.
just
yeah,
we get overshadowed by a lot of I don't know what it is, but it's the West Coast pretty much talk about five, you know,
mm-hmm.
people, when it comes to West Coast hip hop, and I think that we belong up there with the people that they talk about all the time.
Yep.
But aside from that, man, come on, August 16th, I think that's our next show together. I got some shows in between then, but it's gonna be a blast. They got this thing called Rhyme Fest jumping off
Oh
that.
yeah, we're doing Rhyme Fest. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
I did it last year, Dolo, but it's at the LA Coliseum. It's gonna be star
That,
studded.
that lineup looks crazy. That lineup looks
Yeah,
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah,
be crazy.
Yeah.
Man, guys, thank
Yo,
you. I really appreciate y'all being authentic, and I've had conversations with you before, J. Ro and you, Tash. E Swift, this is the first time I was meeting, and it was
My
worth
honor,
waiting
brother.
for. I'm honored
uh,
to speak to you
Definitely,
three.
man. Appreciate you for
Appreciate
sure.
y'all, man. Keep y'all
y'all,
keep doing what you're doing for the culture, man. We
Yes,
appreciate
sir.
that. Y'all
thank you.
y'all leaders, man. Keep doing your thing.
I'm
Thank
gonna
you.
hit
Appreciate it.
y'all with this remix right when we hang up, and y'all give me some
Oh
feedback.
yeah. Okay, I can't
Yeah,
wait. Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah. All right, brothers. Thank you. J. Rowe, E Swift, Tash, The Alcoholics.
Sir.
Damn is the album. Check it out and the catalog. All
Yeah.
All right, y'all.
right.
Peace.
Out.
Peace.
Peace.
Thank you.